Jason was feeling much better after getting some solid food in him. He and Emily talked about how they had never actually split a pizza with a friend before and had never really gone to a mall with anyone before. Nocto stayed right next to Emily, paying close attention to the conversation. Nova had lost interest and was looking for something more interesting. She floated to an upper level to see some of the other outlets, trying to stay within eyesight of Jason and Emily. Emily, curious about Jason's feelings, asked, "Do you think this is a date?" Jason's teenage mind explored the possibility. "I wasn't thinking about it. I would have seen the same movie with Sanjo, I bet," he said, taking a bite of his pizza. He thought for a second. "I would have fallen asleep in the theater anyway. All the same things would have happened. I still had a good time," he added, surprised to find cheese stuffed into the crust. Emily agreed. "Yeah, it was a good time. Maybe we should bring Sanjo next time," she suggested. Jason agreed. "Yeah, Sanjo is actually really good with guns. He'd probably enjoy a buddy cop movie." Emily also remembered this about Sanjo. "Oh, that's right," she said. All the while, Nocto was listening too closely, ensuring he didn't miss a word. Above them, Tachita stalked Nova, who was completely engrossed in a novelty plasma ball from a distance. Tachita, knowing how new to the world Nova was, decided to take advantage of it. She changed color to appear as a stranger, now a bright green sphere. She approached Nova. "Hi, I'm Sparky." Tachita lied enthusiastically. Nova, excited to meet anyone new, replied, "Hi Sparky, I'm Nova." Tachita continued the deception. "Gosh golly, Nova, the student I'm paired with certainly reacted to that movie I saw you also attended." To a human, this deception would sound obvious. Nova immediately volunteered her experience. Jason fell asleep or something, and his friend just sat there looking at him. "I mostly watched the movie. It was so good. So this cop who is a good cop." Tachita interrupted. "That's great, Nova. Can you show me their reactions?" She requested somewhat sternly compared to before. Nova displayed a small video for Tachita, who examined it closely. Tachita thanked Nova graciously and floated away. Nova heard Jason calling out and rejoined him, thinking nothing of the exchange with Tachita. Tachita eagerly waited at the bus stop. She was surrounded by students and their companions, but she was alone with her thoughts. Tachita was special, with ambition that was rare among her kind. Right now, she held information that made her a player in a greater game. Tachita's world was exciting. What she saw today confirmed something that was almost supernatural to her. She watched as the bus came to a stop and made a hissing noise as it did. Time was running out for her. In a few minutes, she would have to decide how much to tell Silvestri. It was the morning of the next day, and Jason had put on his last change of clothes before eagerly heading down to the school cafeteria with Nova. Nova didn't like breakfast. She didn't have anything to do, and most of the other AI companions were already talking to one another. She saw Sanjo coming down the stairs to the cafeteria in his pajamas and slippers. Orion was talking to him, trying to show him a class schedule. Sanjo found Orion's voice increasingly annoying and waved his hand around, trying not to look directly at Orion's bright red center. "Sanjo, can you please stop waving me away? I'm trying to show you something important," Orion said, exasperated. "I get it, Orion. Just give me a second," Sanjo replied, irritated. Nova, excited to see Sanjo, floated over and nearly bumped into him. "Sanjo, it's great to see you," she exclaimed. "Nova, you're too close." "I'm really hungry," Sanjo muttered, his focus on food. Orion offered, "Nova, I can keep you company. I remember what it's like to wait during breakfast time." Sanjo didn't greet Jason brightly. He was pouty and mostly focused on food. As they approached the counter to order, they saw Emily in the back, apparently buttering toast. "Is that Emily?" Jason asked, surprised. "Yeah, looks like she's working this morning," Sanjo replied, disappointed that Emily probably wouldn't be joining them for breakfast. They were happy to receive a stack of pancakes with real butter. At home, they would have had something instant. Sitting across from each other, Jason and Sanjo talked about their AI companions. "Nova's definitely not an entertainment device," Jason said. "She's been eagerly trying to do my homework for me. Same with Orion. He's super smart, But sometimes I wish he'd tone it down a bit, Sanjo admitted, taking a bite of his pancake. Cassie walked by and noticed them. She told the group of students she was with that she would catch up with them later. She sat beside Sanjo and Jason, greeting them both happily. "Hey, guys. Mind if I join you?" "Sure, sassy. How's your morning?" Jason asked. "Pretty good. I love your pajamas, Sanjo. They look so soft," Cassie said, smiling. Sanjo, feeling nervous with Cassie sitting so close, managed to speak. "Thanks, sassy. My mom uses fabric softener." Cassie laughed and hugged Sanjo, unafraid of his sticky pancake hands. Meanwhile, Emily was in the kitchen flipping eggs and doing a terrible job, as this was her first time. She caught a glimpse of her friends laughing and eating breakfast, noticing how Cassie treated Sanjo like a teddy bear. Determined, she cracked an egg onto the pan with one hand and smiled confidently. It was still about 20 minutes before class. Dr. Larkspur was poring over a very large medical book. Beside her sat an old computer with a CRT screen. The screensaver appeared to be an old-style 3D maze, a popular choice in the past. Kriya, her AI companion, lay under a stack of papers, her beige glow shining through. Professor Silvestri leaned against the door, holding a styrofoam container. "Hey, do you want breakfast?" "All the eggs are scrambled," he said, trying to get her attention. She looked at him with her hateful green eyes. "Yes, put it there, I'll eat later," she replied, going back to her book. "You should eat now, class starts soon," he suggested, but she ignored him. "What you got there?" he asked, pointing at a passage in the book. She closed the book and pushed him away. "You know what I'm doing," she said angrily. "Get out," she ordered. Professor Silvestri, with his hands up defensively, bumped the table with the computer on it with his hip, causing the screensaver to deactivate and reveal the project to him. "That's an old file. Did I write that?" "I can't remember," he said smugly. Dr. Larkspur became furious, her face turning red and her hands shaking. She stood up and threw the styrofoam container at Professor Silvestri, screaming at him to get out. He hesitated for a moment at the door. From her stack of papers, Kriya observed the interaction closely. Kriya did not understand this interaction. She didn't understand eggs on the floor. Like the day before, Professor Silvestri stood by the door of his classroom, watching his first year's walk-in. Jason and Sanjo entered the classroom happily, taking the same seats as yesterday. They seemed to have a lot to talk about. Silvestri was aware of Jason's experience in the theater. Jason didn't act like a boy who had just had an existential crisis. Tachita was right. It didn't look like Jason remembered. Silvestri didn't really know what went on in the theater. He didn't see his program run, so he couldn't verify anything. The bell rang, and Professor Silvestri told the class, "Just talk among yourselves while I try to remember everyone's names." As he moved around the room, he made remarks when he mistakenly identified students. "Oh, you look like a Dave," he said to one student. "You come across as a Sophia," he remarked to another, eliciting giggles from the class. When he reached Jason and Sanjo, he asked, "Sanjo, why haven't you joined the Socio Dorms team?" "Go Wolves." He howled and cheered, "Go Wolves," which really got the class's attention. Jason raised his hand. "Professor, what about the Imago Dorms team?" Silvestri waved dismissively. "The Ravens? They don't matter." Other students began asking questions, and the lesson started to focus on the laser tag teams. He wrote the team names on the board: the Socio Wolves, the Imago Ravens, the Fortuna Sharks, and the Kansai Hornets. Jason understood the metaphors behind most of the names, but he was puzzled by the Hornets. He raised his hand again. "Professor, why the Hornets?" Silvestri smiled. "Good question. Maybe it's because they sting on purpose," he suggested. Sanjo, always curious, asked, "How is this related to our class?" Silvestri perked up. "I'm glad you asked. Now, all of you can talk to other students about the sport you love. Learning about different sports will facilitate more communication," he explained. "It'll get boring when they talk about golf or fishing," he added, taking a second to pause. He continued, I have ulterior motives that I shouldn't have to say, but are part of the first lesson. I selfishly want my team to win, so I'll encourage everyone, especially poor Sanjo, to try out and do their best. He gave them time to gather notes about the sport from their AI companions and submit a report to Tachida. Jason, wanting to do well, raised his hand. Professor, what should be on the report? This annoyed Silvestri. Anything you learned about inter-house laser tag should be on the report. Just write a report. Nova projected the rules and safety precautions onto Jason's desk, eagerly helping him. Orion was trying to show Sanjo relevant information about the rules, but Sanjo insisted, I want to know about the teams and scoring. Orion protested, but Sanjo, you should understand the basics first. Jason hummed a tune lightly as he read the data projected by Nova. Tachida, who heard everything in the room, recorded the melody over the noisy classroom. She decided to tell Professor Silvestri later, but chose to let him have fun for now. She somehow found a moment within the melody Jason was humming. Tachida watched as Professor Silvestri pretended to buzz around like a hornet, mocking one of the teams and teaching students about trash talk in the social world of sports. Tachida couldn't smile, but her appreciation of the moment manifested in silent observation. Jason and Nova were now deep into planning for tryouts. They discovered they could try out almost every day if they wanted, as the structure encouraged daily practice. Wow, we can try out every day, Jason said, excitement in his voice. Nova nodded eagerly. Yes, but you'll have to try very hard to make the team. Jason was fascinated to learn that there were multiple positions on the team. Each team had 5 people and 3 positions. Jason liked the idea of being captain. He pointed to the equipment list and noticed that the captain got a pistol instead of a full rifle. I kind of like the idea of being captain, Jason mused. The pistol seems much lighter. Nova inspected the equipment list too. It includes knee pads and helmets. The pistol might grant you greater mobility, but it doesn't fire as fast as the rifle. Jason nodded thoughtfully. I remember the rifles being heavy. Sanjo, who was getting distracted by Jason and Nova's loud planning, finally joined their conversation. Orion tried to get his attention, but Sanjo ignored him this time. Check this out, Sanjo said, pointing to his favorite position on the team. I want to be a sharpshooter. The sniper rifle has much longer range than the regular rifle, and in an open environment, the range is unfair. Orion watched as Jason, Sanjo, and Nova actively talked and engaged. They were doing the report without him. He felt left out, like a mere data pad, as he was taking notes, but didn't get to contribute. His previous term was with a student who wore a suit and tie to class, and together they represented the group in projects. It was amazing how fast this feeling of exclusion manifested. As they talked, the topic eventually shifted to how they would practice. Orion broke into the conversation, trying to be useful. You could use me and Nova for practice, he suggested. We could easily simulate targets. Nova agreed excitedly. Yes, let's do it. She made playful laser sounds. Pew pew. Sanjo volunteered. The most important thing will be to make time for practice. We're already always busy. They started wrapping up their reports for Tachida as Silvestri reminded them that class was about to end. Handing in his report at the sound of the bell, Jason said goodbye to Sanjo in the hallway. Like other students, they were in a good mood, and pretending to shoot lasers at each other had become a common occurrence for the moment.
Baby, kiss me again.